Hello, everyone. I saw this headline and I was actually, puzzled. Atiku lambast, Atiku lambast Tinubu for failing to implement Tinubu government, illegitimate government, as far as I'm concerned, for failing to implement Supreme Court ruling on local government autonomy. Uh, Atiku described the continued non-implementation as a constitutional breach. If I may, so the thing that it's really puzzling my head was that I thought it was Tinubu's illegitimate government itself that went to court on this whole local government autonomy. So if you're the one that went to court, well, why are you not implementing it? I thought, if I'm not mistaken, that other governors had said no, they had resisted that, this whole thing that they were going to be paying directly the local government and all of that. Former Vice President Atiku Abubakar has accused Bola Tinubu's administration of allegedly disobeying a binding Supreme Court judgment on direct financial allocations to local government. Atiku described the continued non-implementation as a constitutional breach. In a statement issued on Wednesday, December 24, Atiku said that by July next year, the Tinubu administration would have spent 2 full years allegedly ignoring the Apex Court's directive mandating direct allocation of funds from the Federation Account Allocation Committee, FAC, to local governments. Dear President, not my President, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, he said, by July next year, your administration would have spent 2 full years, July or May, 2 full years deliberately ignoring a binding judgment of the Supreme Court directing the federal government to implement direct FAC allocation to local government. The former vice president rejected suggestions that the delay was administrative, alleging that inaction was intentional and politically motivated. I don't understand. How is it administrative? Put money in the account of local government. So that's the part that is puzzling me. This was something that he championed. His supporters were like, "Oh yeah, yeah. By the time Tinubu finished unleashing on Nigeria, I hope Nigerians will have sense, because if you see what treachery, forgery, criminality, everything combined together looks like, this is what this thing is all about. This illegitimate administration is all about. Because how are you coming out to have be seen to have championed something, then at the end of the day you now go back on it, and then it's like, this is not delay, according to Atiku, it's defiance. Your refusal to act is a calculated political move, using obedience to the law as a bargaining chip to force opposition governors into the APC and to keep governors within your party firmly under your control. In doing so, you have reduced the constitution to a tool of convenience and governance to partisan bargaining. Okay, that's another angle to look at it. So all this while, because of course governors know that by the time they start paying the local government directly, they're not going to have that money that they have that they direct to local government. Because at the end of the day, really, the local governments are supposed to be it. The governor is supposed to be like, it's an administrative figure kind of a thing. But in Nigeria, of course, everything is turned upside down. Just like you have here in Nigeria, the federal government is the one that has more power, whereas it's supposed to have been the one with lesser power. The states are supposed to have, more power. The federal government is supposed to be like an administrative head, but that's not the case. So, like with this one now, they are forcing you to come, or else they will give the money to the local government. I didn't see that point. Interesting. Atiku stressed that Supreme Court judgments are final and binding. Actually, that's it. Warning that failure to enforce the amounts to violation of the Constitution and the presidential oath of office. Let us be clear. Supreme Court judgments are final, not optional. Persistently refusing to enforce one is direct breach of the Constitution and a violation of oath you swore to Nigerians. He further argued that the continued denial of financial autonomy to local governments was harming grassroots development, noticing that councils are the closest tier of government to the people. Local governments are the closest arm of government to the people. By withholding their financial autonomy, exactly, which ironically you have been trumpeting as a core cardinal policy. That's why this whole thing, when I saw the heading, it really shocked me. I'm like, this is what Tinubu, right from he was doing it, that, oh, this is the good governance he's going to be doing, this is the thing he's going to be doing, and then you get the judgment in your favor and you are not implementing it. How? Lord have mercy. You are not weakening governors, you are crippling communities, stalling development, and deepening poverty at the grassroots. He actually wants poverty to be deepened so that he can totally control everything and everyone. And then also he can just, with a few crumbs, he can get people over to his side. You are not weakening governors, you are crippling communities, stalling development, and deepening poverty at the grassroots. Roads remain broken, health centers abandoned, salaries unpaid, not by accident but by choice. According to Atiku, enforcing the Supreme Court judgment requires no political theatrics but decisive action by the executive. This situation does not require threats of executive orders or political drama. The solution is simple: instruct the Attorney General of the Federation to enforce judgment immediately. Anything short of this is a failure of leadership. He warned the continued inaction sent the wrong signal about the government's priorities. Your continued inaction sends a clear signal that political control matters more than constitutional duty, that party dominance matters more than economic justice, and that regime survival outweighs the daily suffering of Nigerians already battered by harsh economic policies. Atiku concluded by urging the president, not my president, to respect the rule of law, warning the history would judge the administration's action. Nigeria deserves leadership that obeys the law it swore to protect, not one that bends it for political gain. History will not forget this moment. Nigerians will not either. I mean, this is just so crazy because when I just saw it, I'm like, because I knew this is the same thing that these people were pushing. But of course, Tinubu will always be Tinubu. And I think, like I've said it before, one of the things that Tinubu does is to sit down and say, what will Peter Obi do? What will Peter Obi do? What will Peter Obi do? And then he tries to do it. Because, of course, his heart is not in it. He never gets to do it well. His innermost, what he wants inside, truly comes out at the end of the day. Because I cannot imagine the same you that, took this on, took it all the way to the court to say you are fighting for the good of the nation. And then it comes out, and you're the same person who is derailing it, who is now using it as a weapon to get people over to you, or whatever it is that he thinks that he's using it for. But at the end of the day, this is not even about Tinubu for me. It's about Nigerians. If you keep saying that there's nothing you can do, well, there's nothing you can do. They will keep messing up your life. But if you know that power is in your hand and you can do it, you will stand up and do it. I see people sit down, they say they are waiting for America. It's only American that can do it. Nobody else can. That's foolishness. 2015, Obama did not do anything. It was Nigerian citizens that said enough was enough, and they did it. And as long as you refuse to acknowledge that, you keep saying that, oh, it was Obama that brought in Buhari and blah, 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 then that is the same way. These ones that are destroying your life, you will not be able to do anything about it because you've given out of your power. And like Henry Ford said, if you think you can, you can. If you think you can't, you can't. Either way, you're right. Thank you so much for watching.